Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our exploration of process research, where we delve into understanding how things work. Imagine you're a detective solving a mystery. Process research is like that, but instead of solving crimes, we are uncovering how things happen in science, technology, language, and everyday life. So grab your magnifying glass because we're about to embark on an exciting journey of discovery. Researchers begin a study by identifying a research problem that they need to address. They write about this problem in the opening passages of their study and, in effect, give you as a reader the rationale for why the study is important and why you need to read their study. In this chapter, you will learn about specifying a research problem and positioning it within a section that introduces a study, which is the statement of the problem section. What is a research problem? Think of a research problem as a question that needs answering. It's like when you wonder about something and want to find out more. For example, why do plants grow better in certain soils? Or how does exercise affect our mood? These questions guide the research and help researchers focus on what they want to study. So why is it important? Having a clear research problem is like having a map before a journey. It helps researchers know where they are going and what they are looking for. Because I believe without a good research problem, it's like wandering around without direction. A strong research problem makes sure that the study is meaningful and that the result can help answer important questions or solve real-life problems. It's the foundation of any research project, guiding the way from start to finish. So how does research problem differ from other parts? So the research problem is like the blueprint. It tells you what you're building and why. Here's how it's different from other parts. You can see it on the slide as I presented here. So in simple terms, the research problem is the big picture. It sets the stage for everything else. It tells researchers what they are trying to achieve and why it matters. Looking at these differences, you can see that they differ in terms of breadth from broad topic to narrow specific research question. So let's examine another example as shown in this figure. To make this point, so in this example, a researcher begins with a broad topic, which is the distance learning. So the inquirer then seeks to learn about a problem related to this topic, which is the lack of students enrolled in distance education classes. So to study this problem, our educator then reformulates the problem into a statement of intent, also known as the purpose statement, which is to study why students do not attend distance education classes at one community college. Examining the statement requires that our investigator narrow intent to specific questions, one which is, does the use of website technology in the classroom deter students from enrolling in distance education classes? The process involves narrowing a broad topic to a specific question, and in this process, the research problem becomes a distinct step that needs to be identified to help readers clearly see the issue. A common error is stating research problems as the purpose of the study or as the research question. So the following examples show how you might reshape a purpose or a research question as a research problem. As you design and conduct a study, make sure that you are clear about the distinctions among these parts of research and that your written material differentiates among a topic, the research problem, the purpose, and your research questions. Can problems be researched? Yes, problems can definitely be researched. In fact, that's often the first step in finding solution. When we research a problem, we try to understand better by asking questions, gathering information, and studying how it affects people or things. This helps us figure out what's causing the problem and what can we do to solve it. Should problems be researched? The answer is absolutely yes. Researching problems is super important because it helps us make informed decisions and find solutions that actually work, whether it's finding cures for disease, improving for technology, or tackling social issues. So, researching problems helps us make the world a better place. So if there is a problem bothering you or others, don't hesitate to dive into research and find ways to fix it. To research a problem, scientists often need permission to go to places where the study will happen, like schools or hospitals. They might also need to talk to people involved, students or patients, and many more. So getting access can be tricky and needs approval from different people, like school principal or district administrators. If the research is funded by the government, there are even more rules to follow to make sure everyone's rights are protected. So being able to get permission to visit places and talk to people is really important for doing research properly. Even if you can visit the places and talk to the people you need for your study, there are still other things that affect your ability to research the problem, which we will tackle next. The first one is time. Research takes time. You need to plan, collect data, analyze it, and write up your findings. Sometimes you need to spend a lot of time waiting for the right conditions or for people to be available for interviews or surveys. The second one is resources. This means having enough money, equipment, and materials to do your research properly. For example, you might need to buy specialized tools or pay for your travel expenses to visit different sites. The third one, research skills. These are the abilities and knowledge you have about how to do research. This includes things like designing a study, choosing the right methods, and analyzing the data correctly. Good research skills are important for finding meaningful results. So, even if you have the access to the people and places you need, you still need enough time, resources, and skills to do a good job with your research. When deciding if you should research a problem, ask yourself if your study will help us learn something new and improve how things are done. Research is important because it adds to what we already know and helps us to do better things. So let's look at 5 ways to decide if a problem is worth researching. You can read it here, and I'll give 2 examples. The first example, if you're thinking about researching a problem, consider whether your study will help fill in gaps or missing pieces in what's already been studied. Sometimes there are topics that haven't been looked at much in previous research. For example, let's say someone looks at all the research done about how ethical college campuses are. They might find that while students' views have been studied, faculty members' views haven't been explored much. This is like a missing puzzle piece. There's a gap in what's been studied. So if we do a study about how faculty members think about the ethical climate, we'll be filling in that gap and adding new information to what we know. So if your study can help fill these gaps, it's definitely worth doing. The second example is if you're considering researching a problem, it's important if your study lets people who are often ignored or pushed aside in society have their say. This means giving a platform to groups of people who are often not listened to, like the homeless, women, or racial minorities. Your research can help us learn more by sharing the thoughts and experiences of these marginalized individuals. For example, if previous studies about ethical climates focus mainly on students at mostly white colleges, they might not include the perspective of Native Americans. By doing a study that listens to and shares the voices of Native Americans on this topic, you're giving them a chance to be heard and adding their valuable perspective to the conversation. So, if your study can amplify the voices of those who are often silenced, it's definitely worth pursuing. The next reporter will be Miss Balansag. She will continue our discussion.
How does the research problem differ in quantitative and qualitative research? After you identify a research problem, you should also consider if it better fits a quantitative or qualitative approach. because the two approaches differ in their essential characteristics. There should be a match between your problem and the approach you use. In quantitative research, the research problem typically focuses on measuring relationship between variables or testing hypotheses using numerical data, while in qualitative research, it's more about exploring complex phenomena, often using open-ended questions and seeking to understand the context and meaning behind them. Tend to use quantitative research if your research problem requires you to measure variables, assess the impact of these variables on an outcome, test theories or broad explanations, apply results to a large number of people. Tend to use qualitative research if your research problem requires you to learn about the views of individuals, assess a process over time, generate theories based on participants' perspective, obtain detailed information about a few people or research sites. How do you write a statement of the problem section? After you have identified your research problem, determine that if can and should be researched and specified either the quantitative or qualitative approach. It is time to begin writing about the problem in a statement of the problem section that introduces your research study. The statement of the problem section includes the actual research problem as well as four aspects. First, the topic. Second, the research problem. Third, a justification of the importance of the problem as found in the past research and in practice. Fourth, the deficiencies in our existing knowledge about the problem. 5. The audiences that will benefit from a study of the problem. The topic. This refers to the broad subject area or theme that the research will focus on. It provides the overarching context within which the specific research problem is situated. The topic serves to frame the research and provides a starting point for identifying the particular issues or question that the study will address. The first step when planning and writing a research paper is picking a good topic. A good topic is relevant to the assignment and has enough information available for you to use, and it's neither too broad nor too narrow. Let's examine the first sentence. We call it a narrative hook. It serves the important function of drawing the readers into a study. Good narrative hooks have this characteristic: cause the reader to pay attention, elicit emotional or attitudinal responses, spark interest, and encourage the reader to continue reading. Convincing narrative hook might include one or more of the following types of information. First, statistical data. Example, more than 50% of the adult population experiences depression today. Second, a provocative question. Example, why are school policies that ban smoking in high school not being enforced? Third, a clear need for research. Example, school suspension is drawing increased attention among scholars in teacher education. Fourth, the intent or purpose of the study. Example, the intent of this study is to examine how clients construct the therapist-client relationship. Although all of these represent possibilities for you to use, the key idea is that a study begins with an introduction to a topic that the reader can easily understand and with a first sentence that creates readers' interest. The research problem. This is the primary subject or issue that the study seeks to investigate or address. It specifies the specific problem or knowledge gap that the study aims to investigate or contribute to. The research challenge should be clearly described and concentrated to steer the study's direction and make it easier to formulate research objectives and hypotheses. In some social science disciplines, the research problem is typically posed in the form of a question. A research problem does not state how to do something, offer a vague or broad proposition, or present a value question. The purpose of the problem statement is to first introduce the reader to the importance of the topic being studied. The reader is oriented to the significance of the study and the research question or hypothesis to follow. Second, places the problem into a particular context that defines the parameters of what is to be investigated, provides the framework for reporting the results, and indicates what is probably necessary to conduct the study and explain how the findings will present this information. A justification of the importance of the problem as found in the past research and in practice. This entails articulating why the research problem is important and worthy of consideration. It requires citing previous study, publication, and actual implementation to demonstrate the problem's relevance and importance. Justifying the problem's importance contribute to its relevance to the academic community and field practitioners. Justifying a research problem means presenting reasons for the importance of studying the issue or concern. This justification occurs in several paragraphs in an introduction in which you provide evidence to document the need to study the problem. You can justify the importance of your problem by citing evidence from other researchers and experts as reported in the literature. The selection of a research problem can often be derived from an extensive and through a review of pertinent research associated with your overall area of interest. This may reveal where gaps remain in our understanding of a topic. Research may be conducted to first, fill such gaps in knowledge, second, evaluate if the methodologies employed in prior studies can be adapted to solve other problems, or third, determine if a similar study could be conducted in a different subject area or applied to different study sample. For example, different groups of people. Also, authors frequently conclude their studies by noting implication for further research. This can also be a valuable source of problem to investigate. Experiences others have had in the workplace. You can justify your research problem based on evidence from your workplace or personal experiences. Issues arise in educational workplaces that you can address in your research. For example, policymakers need to decide whether to mandate state standard of assessment, or principals and teachers must develop approaches to classroom discipline. Last is the personal experiences. Your everyday experiences can give rise to worthwhile problems for investigation. Think critically about your own experiences and or frustration with an issue facing society, your community, or in your neighborhood. This can be derived, for example, from deliberate observation of certain relationship for which there is no clear explanation, or witnessing an event that appears harmful to a person or group or that is out of the ordinary. The deficiencies in our existing knowledge about the problem. This feature identifies gaps or limits in current understanding or research on the subject. It identifies areas where existing information is inadequate, incomplete, or out of date, providing a reason for performing the proposed research. Addressing these gaps advance knowledge in the subject and guide future research initiatives. A research gap is a question or a problem that has not been answered by any of the existing studies or research within your field. Sometimes, a research gap exists when there is a concept or new idea that has not been studied at all. Sometimes, you'll find a research gap if all the existing research is outdated and in need of new updated research. Studies or internet use in 2001, for example. Or perhaps a specific population has not been well studied. Perhaps there are plenty of studies on teenagers and video games, but not enough studies on toddlers and video games, for example. The audience that will benefit from a study of the problem. These include identifying the stakeholders, individuals, or groups who will benefit from the research findings. It could involve academic researchers, practitioners, policymakers, or the general public. Understanding the study's prospective beneficiaries allows researchers to modify their research aims, techniques, and distribution tactics to optimize their impact and relevance to the target audience.
Afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Roselle Atienza, and this will be my topic for today. So, first, what are some strategies for writing the statement of the problem section? Writing the introduction or statement of the problem section as an opening passage in your research report sets the stage for readers to understand your project and appreciate the strong research orientation of your report. Several writing strategies can help you craft this section. So, when writing the statement of the problem, it is crucial to clearly define the issue or a challenge that your research aims to address. So, here are some strategies to effectively craft the section. First, you must clearly define the problem. So, begin by clearly articulating the specific problem or issue that your research seeks to investigate. Second, provide context and background. Offer background information and context to help readers understand why the problem is important and worthy of investigation. Third, we also need to highlight the significance. Explain why solving this problem is essential and how it contributes to existing knowledge in the field. Fourth, state research objectives. So, clearly outlining the specific objectives or goals of your study in relation to addressing the identified problem. A template. One strategy you can use as you write your statement of the problem is to visualize the section as five paragraphs. So, in each paragraph, addressing one of the five aspects of the section. Take sections in order, beginning with the topic, the research problem, the justification, the deficiencies, and the audience. Okay, so in this section, we will discuss the topic of using a five paragraph structure to write a statement of the problem. So, on the first paragraph should introduce the research problem, which is the specific issue or question that the research aims to address. On the second paragraph, it should provide justification for why this research problem is important and relevant. This can include discussing the implications of the problem or any existing research on the topic and how addressing the problem could lead to positive outcomes. The third paragraph should identify any deficiencies or gaps in current knowledge or understanding related to the research problem. This can include discussing what is currently known about the problem and what questions still need answer. For example, While there have been studies on sources and quantities of plastic waste in oceans, there is still limited information on effective solutions for reducing and removing this waste. The fourth paragraph should explain who the audience for this research will be and why they're interested in the topic. So, this can help to ensure that the research is relevant and valuable to its intended audience. For instance, the primary audience for this research includes environmental organizations, policymakers, and individuals concerned about ocean health. So these groups are interested in understanding more about plastic waste in oceans and potential solutions for mitigating this issue. So next slide, other writing strategies. Another writing strategy is to use frequent references to the literature throughout this introductory passage. Multiple references add a scholarly tone to your writing and provide evidence from others rather than relying on your own personal opinion. The use of references in your study will build credibility for your work. A third strategy is to provide references from statistical trends to support the importance of studying the research problem. So, another effective writing strategy is to incorporate frequent references to the literature in your introductory passage. By including multiple references, you can establish a scholarly tone in your writing and support your points with evidence from other authors. This only this not only enhances the credibility of our work, but it also demonstrates thorough understanding of the topic. So, additionally, referencing existing literatures allows us to situate our work within the broader academic context and engage with relevant discussions in the field. So, next slide, writing a statement of the problem. Introduction begins with a general discussion about the topic of the research. So they try to present the first sentence as a good narrative hook so that readers will be encouraged to read the report. The writing of this first sentence is difficult, and I may draft numerous revisions before I'm satisfied that it will be general, timely, and understandable. I think about the wide range of students in my class who have varied backgrounds and majors, and whether they would understand and relate. Okay, so a statement of problem is a crucial component in any research or project as it defines the issue that needs to be addressed. Here is a step by step guide on how to write an effective statement of the problem. First, contextualize the problem. Provide background information on the problem, describe where and when the problem occurs, and identify who is affected by the problem. Second, highlight the significance of the problem. Explain why addressing the problem is important. Consider the consequences of the problem remains if the problem remains unsolved, and determine if similar issues exist in other contexts. Third, third, es- establish research aims and objectives. So clearly state the overall purpose of the research. Use infinitive phrase to articulate your research aim and define specific steps you will take to achieve your aim. So for my last slide, we're examining the parent involvedness and the mother trust in school principal studies. In the parent involvement study, this Landis and Bertrand 2005, the authors introduce the problem and integrate the literature review in the first 12 paragraphs. They mention the problem early by framing it within the existing literature. We know little about the factors that influence parents' involvement in adolescent schooling. The authors do not present this issue strongly as a problem. Instead, they talk about the positive advantages of parents' involvement. So, parents' involvement in education has long been recognized as a crucial factor in a child's academic success. When parents are actively engaged in their child's education, students tend to have higher grades, better attendance, improved behavior, and a more positive attitude towards school. One aspect of parents' involvement that has gained attention is the concept of mother trust in school principals. The relationship between parent involvement and the trust mothers have in school principals is a topic of significant interest in educational research. Understanding how parental engagement impacts the level of trust mothers have in school leaders can provide valuable insights into improving communication, collaboration, and overall school effectiveness. So when you say involvement in education, it refers to the active participation of parents in their children's academic and school related activities. This involvement can take various forms, including volunteering at school events, attending parents teacher conferences, helping them with their homeworks, and participating in decision making process within the school community. So, studies have shown that trust between parents and school leaders is essential for building strong partnership that benefits student learning outcomes. Trust facilitates collaboration, fosters a positive school climate, and enhances overall parental satisfaction with the educational experience provided for their children. So that's the end of my report. Thank you for your thank you for listening.
To sum it up, here are the useful information for producers of research. Number 1. A. Can we study the people and places involved? B. Do we have enough time, resources, and skills to research the problem? C. Will studying this issue help us learn and improve things? If the answer is yes to all the three, then it's worth researching. Number 2, we need to come up with a clear research problem. This is something specific we want to investigate, separate from the overall topic, the study's purpose, and its research questions. Number 3, when starting a study, the statement of the problem section is where we introduce the main issue we're going to investigate. We want to make it clear and concise. This opening passage sets the stage for the study by highlighting the specific problem we're going to focus on without diving into the purpose or specific research question just yet. It's like laying the foundation for the rest of the study. Number 4. When writing the statement of the problem, we want to do a few things. First, introduce the reader to the topic. Explain what the study is about in a straightforward way. Second, convey the research problem. Clearly state the specific issue we are investigating. Third, justify why we need to study the research problem. Explain why is it important to look into this issue. Fourth, identify deficiencies in the evidence. Point out what we don't know yet or what needs more research. Fifth, target audiences who will benefit from the study. Mention who will find the study useful or informative. So, by covering these points, we give the reader a good understanding of what the study is about, why it matters, and who will benefit from it. It's like giving them a roadmap to follow along with the study. Number 5. When writing the statement of the problem section, we break it down into 5 paragraphs. Introduction to the topic, conveying the research problem, justifying the need for the study, identifying deficiencies in the evidence, and target audiences who will benefit. So, by breaking it down this way and including references, statistics, and quotes, we make the statement of the problem comprehensive and convincing. And for the last slide, it is the useful information for consumers of research. First, when reading the opening paragraphs of the study, look for the main issue or concerns that led to the study. Ask yourself what educational problem the study is trying to solve or address. This helps identify the core problem the study aims to tackle. Second, to decide if a research problem can be pursued, consider if the researcher has access to people and places and if they have the necessary time, resources, and skills. Additionally, determine if studying the problem will contribute to knowledge or practice. If these conditions are met, then the problem is worth researching. Lastly, in the introduction of a study, pay attention to 5 key elements. The topic, what the study is about. The research problem, the specific issue being investigated. Justification for the problem. Why is it important to study this issue? Deficiencies in the evidence. What's not known yet or needs further research. Importance for audience. Who will benefit from the study and why it matters to them. So, understanding these elements helps grasp the purpose and intent of the study's opening passages. To wrap it up, understanding how to identify research problem and dissect the research process is the key for meaningful research. Thank you for watching!